Hey, Philosophy Bim here. In this video, I'm going to be talking about the part 2 of rotation framework of how you can utilize the technique and how you can apply this to your family creation. Okay, let's jump right in. Okay, I have my shading device example from last time here. So for those of you who missed the first part of the video, I'll put a link in the description below so you can kind of watch it. But in this case, this shading device where the shading blade, the louver blade, has this rotation parameter called blade angle. So the concept is pretty simple. You can change anything from 0 degree to 45 to 90 degree to any degree to your liking, basically. So this technique that I'm about to show you can actually utilize a different creation of using sweep, and by creating a sweep object that you can actually take advantage of something that has been talk about. It's been a underrated feature for many years. So I'll go ahead and talk about the workflow for how you can go about creating that geometry and setting up the rotation parameter, and allow you to create things like that in like a shading device or other things in that matter. Okay, all right, so I wanted to start from scratch. So first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to start with a new family. To start with, I actually wanted to start with something other than the generic model. I actually need to start something as a profile family. I'm going to go ahead and do just that. I'm going to stick to the profile family here. In this case, I can just pick the regular profile family from this list here. All right. Okay. So I'm in a profile family right now. So the way that works is in profile family, you are simply drawing just a series of line work to create the shape of the profile. But what you can do more is, remember, you can also parameterize the profile family so that you can actually change the shape of the profile family with parameters. And I'm going to do just that for now. Okay, before I start creating the line work, I'm going to use this reference plane. So I'm going to draw some reference plane like this. I want to have some clean dimension, so for that matter, I'm just going to keep it like this clean dimension. I'm going to do it 3 inch here, and I'll do it as an inch over the other way. I want to create like a rectangular shape, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the mirror command here to simply mirroring the sketch like this. Same thing, I'm going to mirror that. So now I have a kind of a rectangular shape for the reference plane. Next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to be using a dimension constraint and basically setting up a series of dimension for the overall size of the profile shape. I can go ahead and reduce this here to like 1.5 so that all the text are a little bit more legible. And the key here is I want to have an equalized dimension here. So I'm going to change this to an equalized dimension as well. So now I have a 2 inch by 6 inch, kind of like a rough shape here. The sizes of that doesn't really matter. I just want to have a clean dimension to start with. So next thing, I'm going to go to the Create tab here using the line work tool. I'm simply using just a rectangular box and drawing just a rectangular shape of the box, and then go ahead and lock this as I go. Okay, so simply I have a rectangular shape of a profile family just created. I do want to have these dimensions to be parameterized. So in this case, I'm going to set up this here, go to create parameter, and I'll just keep it simple. I'm just going to call it W. And I'll keep it as type, W for width, and then I'll go ahead and keep this as D as the depth, just to keep it simple. So by now, I have a parametric profile family already made. Pretty simple, right? And you always wanted to test your parameter and see if they're working properly. So I'm just going to do a quick test of flexing it here. I'll just do a foot here. You can see the line work behaving correctly. 4-inch. Yep, they work pretty well. And I'll do it here as well. I'll do an inch this way. And I'll go ahead and do a 3-inch the other direction. Okay, so they work pretty well, as expected. Okay, so now basically I have this shape here. I'm ready to go. Next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to start another family. So let's go to the File tab, New Family again. So this time I'm going to just choosing Generic Model, which is this one here. Okay, so what I'm about to do is I'm about to create a sweep object. I'm going to show you the technique of how you can create this rotation parameter within the sweep object. Okay, all right, so what I'm going to do is I wanted to, before I kind of continue, I actually, go ahead, let's do this, let's clean up this view here. I actually wanted to use it as a nested family. So this profile family, I needed to load it to the generic model family. So I'm going to go ahead and do just that. And go ahead and choose that. And nothing quite happens yet because I actually have this profile family nested. I'm about to use it, but you know, but Revit just won't let you to place it because it's a profile family. One thing to confirm whether or not the profile family is loaded correctly, you can go to the project browser. You can simply hit the plus sign next to the family and see if the profile, in this case, the profile family is showing up here. So in this case, if you see the family 3 here, that means that the profile family has already been loaded. Okay, so and that's what I need to do prior I create a sweep object. Okay. So next thing up is I'm going to create a sweep, but I want to also set up some framework to do just that. I want to go to the reference plane here and simply just drawing up some reference plane like this. And I'll take this one and also mirror it so that I have one on both ends like that. Okay. Because I also want to control the length of this sweep. So I wanted to create a dimension first, kind of like this. And I also want to create equalized dimension like that as well. Okay, I could create this as a parameter later or now. Let's go ahead and do it now. So I will set this 6 feet to become a parameter and I will call it length this time. I'll keep it as type and then hit OK. So what happens is now I have all this framework that is about to help me get set up the sweep object. Okay. All right. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to go to the create tab, go to the sweep. So in the sweep command here, you have 2 ways to set up the sweep. You can either use the sketch path or pick path. I'm going to go ahead and stick with the sketch path for now. Pick path can be used for some other occasions, and I'll probably talk about some of the technique on things you can do with pick path later down the road in future videos. So I'm going to go with the sketch path. So I'm simply drawing the path along this reference plane. What I like to do usually is instead of using the line work, I usually like to use the pick line because of this. I'm going to go ahead and use pick line. You can see there is a little lock here. So I can go ahead and lock this as I go. So now I have the path defined because this line right now is going to associate with my reference plane so that it will stay in place. The next thing I also want to do is, you see there is a dot on both ends. What I usually like to do is I wanted to pull this dot back, while I'm still in the sketch mode, I would want to use the align command and use this to align this dot to lock to these vertical reference plane. So what it allows you to do is to constrain the endpoint of the reference plane to the sketch line to the reference plane, so that when the parameter of this length changes, the sweep actually going to behave the same. So that's the goal. Okay, so I can finish the path here. So now the next step up is I can then choose to draw my sketch. So basically what I need to do is to define the shape of the profile in the next step in this kind of command. Usually for most people who have created sweep before, they would often use the edit profile, and then they will then lead to say here to start drawing the shape like this, right? So I'm just gonna do this here, right? You can start drawing the shape, whatever that is the case, right? That is not what I want to do. I wanted to use what I've created earlier, which is the profile family. So for that, I'm gonna go ahead and undo a few steps here. Oh, I also want to undo one more, I think. Actually, I need to do a couple more here. Okay, that takes us back here. So I'm going to go ahead and use select profile. So now, while I'm trying to draw my profile, instead of drawing it, I'm using this drop down here. Because I preload the family 3 earlier, that profile family, now I can go to the drop down and choose this one here. So let's take a look in the 3D view. So in the 3D view, you will see that this is the profile family 3 here that I preloaded. It will be used to create a sweep object basically. So I'm going to go ahead and finish that because I already finished drawing the shape. Okay, so let's take a look at the 3D mode here. So pretty much now the framework has been done. I'll talk a little bit more about the technique you can do in a little bit, but the goal right now is instead of creating a louver blade for my shading device as an extrusion, I'm creating as a sweep. And because of this, let's take a look at the sweep object here. Within the sweep object, you have a series of properties, basic parameters down here. And remember, this set of parameters will only exist when you're using the profile family to generate the sweep. So in other words, I'm going to go ahead and do a quick comparison here. I'm going to just create like a simple sweep object like this. I don't care about the parameters or anything, but if I just using the sketch command to do that, go ahead and just make a box also like that and finish it. So you can see that this one is generated by the sketch, right? So with that, you don't see any properties or parameters under the properties of the sweep object compared to the one that using the profile family. You can see there's a number of parameters here, and pay attention to this one, right? This is one called angle. So basically now with this angle parameter right now is at 0. I'm going to go ahead and just get rid of that now. You can understand the reason why I want to use the profile family now, hopefully. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this. So back to this family, this sweep here. Now with this parameter, go ahead and put something like say 45 degree here, right? It literally rotates this shape here based on the profile of that object. So of course right now on the side view, I basically create like a louver blade that actually rotates. You see? I can do any degree here for that matter. It doesn't matter whether it's a 0 degree or 130, 180, or even negative degree is going to be just fine. I'm going to put some negative degree. Negative 45, for example. You can see it rotate backwards. So this is one of the underrated feature that you can use in a sweep object. Okay. So this is where you can set up the framework of these rotation parameters without, with that little tip here. Like again, all you need to do, you basically need a profile family. Just this little simple shape here. Whether or not you parameterize this profile family or not, you can still use a fixed dimension profile shape to create that sweep over here, and it will still give you that parameter regardless. So what you can do with this now is you can now associate this parameter. You can see that little button here called associate family parameters. I'm going to go ahead and create that as a angle parameter here and hit OK. So now I just have a angular parameter here within my my family, right? Like I said, I can do any degree here. Is not going to break. So I'm going to keep it at, actually I'm going to keep it at 0 for now. Okay, like that. All right, so earlier I have these parameters I created to the family. I have this width and depth here. You can actually take advantage of these parameters as well, because now if I go to the generate model family under the project browser and go under the properties of the profile, under here, if I double click it here, it takes me to this type properties of the profile family, and in which case these two parameters also expose in here. So what that means is now if I have a different dimension, you can see I can flex this family here by using the dimension that came from the profile family. So that means that right now I can make this 6 inch, I can make it a foot, I can make this 2 inch, I can make it whatever dimension I want. So what's more is you can also associate primary parameter from here to this generate model family, right? So in this case, I'm going to go ahead and just click on this little button here. I want to create a new parameter. So this is the depth of the blade. So I'm just going to call it like blade depth here. And for the W, I'll go ahead and create another parameter, and I'm going to call it blade width. Hit OK a couple of times. Okay, so now I basically have all these parameters that I just generated for the sweep, right? Basically, I have this here. That's basically my depth. That's the kind of overall dimension of my blade. My width, so it's my length, right? The length again earlier, I have that as a parameter. So if I flex this again, let's just try it out here. You can see that it's also working as expected. And so is the angle parameter. Okay. Yeah. So now, like I said, I just created a totally rotatable louver blade family for as a case of parts, right? Remember, this is the case of part that I have made for my shading device. Okay. All right. So let's go back here. Let's just do one more thing for this video. Okay. What I want to do is I want to show you how you can now utilize this, case of part, this nested family, to basically generate the shape of that, shading device. So for that, I'm going to go ahead and start a new family. Let's go to the generate model again. It all comes down to the category. Again, if this is like a shading device, if you needed to schedule some way or fashion as a special equipment, maybe go ahead and use a special equipment template, or simply you can always switch category even though you started off with a generate model. Okay, so basically now for the content of the video, I'm gonna try to simplify the process of this shading device If you want to see more, of course, leave me a comment and let me know you want to see a whole kind of process of creating this as a parametric family for the shading device. But for now, I'm just going to touch on the few things of how you can utilize these louver blade to set up the next framework. Okay. All right. So what I want to do is I want to go back. Now I have a new family, right? But I want to go back to the louver blade family here. And I wanted to load to my next family, which is family 5 here. Okay. So you can see that now I'm basically placing this, louver blade here. If you want something simple, what I want to do is I'm going to go ahead and put it on the side. I want to set up some framework. So in other words, I am going to just lay out a pretty simple framework here, like this. I'll use a mirror command again, and I will use another reference plane. So simply, this box here is to define the shape of the overall dimension for the shading device. All right, so I wanted to have a little bit more depth. Let's just keep it like 2 feet here. So I have a 2 feet. So basically I have a 4 feet wide by 2 feet deep overhang of the shading device. And I also wanted to have an equalized dimension here. All right. The next thing I wanted to start using this as a kiss apart. So what I want to do is I want to put it into the correct position. You can simply use the align command, simply align the center of this here to the center of the louver blade, and go ahead and lock it as you go. So if you want your louver blade not to start at the edge, so what I normally do is I wanted to create another reference plane here. You can also set up a dimension just to kind of keep it off the edge. I think 3 inches is okay for now. I'll probably go ahead and lock it. So what next is you can also use the align command to set up the location from here to align with the blade family. Okay, so now let's take a look in 3D. It's just one louver here. Okay. Again, for the sake of the video, I'm just trying to keep it simple. So what I mean is, I'm gonna go ahead and just use the copy command here, and I'll just make a couple of these louver blade along here. I'll just do every 6 inch, like so. So I have 4 of these family louver blade put in place. So if you want to keep it simple, if you say, hey, I'm going to create like a shading device that is only going to be always 2 feet deep, that's all you need to do. But one thing to keep in mind is you wanted to make sure that you're using the align command to lock each individual nested family to the center. You want to align, select, and lock here. The other thing you also want to do is you can also use a series of reference plane. Again, I'm going to make one every 6 inch here. So you can just use a dimension like so to lock them. So let's go and change that scale a little bit. Okay. All right. I know this one also need to be align and lock. Let's go and do that. I'm going to go ahead and align and lock this here. Like so. Okay, so let's take a look in 3D view again. So basically right now is you have like a louver with 4 blade. So what you need to do basically is to transfer the parameters from your nested profile, nested family to this family, to this, I call it host family. So the way to do that is you can select the family here, go to the edit type, and simply, again, use these parameters that already exist from the family 4. You can see that these set of parameters that came from family 4 now all showed up here. So for example, if I change the angle here again, you'll see that all louver blade is going to change together, right? The same thing if I go ahead and adjust the blade here. Everything's going to work together as a unit. So what that means is now I can transfer all these family parameters from here. I'm going to start one at a time. I'll go ahead and start with angle here. For now, I'm just going to keep it under construction. I'll make it instant parameter. The next one is the blade depth. I will basically name it exactly like that. And hit OK. And this one, same. So pretty repetitive process here, but you can do this very fast now. We have a process in place. And then one more. This is going to be the length. For that matter, just to be consistent, I'll go ahead and call this blade length. Like so. Okay. Let's take a look. Now if I go to the family types, all these parameters that was once in the nested sweep object that generate model family now all transfer here. So that means that I can change it here and they will all be rotating the same, right? So not only that, right, I can also change this here. Now I think the blade is probably too heavy. I'll go ahead and keep that to like an inch. I think an inch is probably still too much. I'll probably do half an inch just for now. And then the depth, I'll do it at 4 inch here. Okay, like that. All right. So now in plan view, they look kind of like this. So at the end, to kind of finish this up, I can also set up this with a length. So if I were to make this as a length here, because since this is going to be my fixed 2 feet here, I can go ahead and just put a lock there to finish this. All right, so let's take a look once again in 3D view. I know this is not the complete picture compared to the one that I have here. I have some support, and then I have another cap here in the front. Like I said, you know, drop me a comment here if you want to see the whole process of how I created this shading device. I can create another video for that. Okay, all right. So for now, what I want to do is I just wanted to get to this point here. You can see that now I have a length that was from this family, but also I have a blade length. So what you can do as well is you can actually set up a formula. So what that means is if I actually change, if I just basically type a formula here called length, reference plane over constraint. Okay, so looks like I run into some issues here. Okay, so let's take a look in plan view there. Why do I have that? All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and do that again. So I'll go ahead and just remove constraint and see what it does. Nothing quite happened, so maybe it's okay. So now if I change the dimension of the length here, I might have over constrained that family earlier. You can see that now it's working. When I change this one parameter here called length, my blade actually works together as well. Yep, that seems to be doing what it's supposed to now. Perfect. Okay, so that's kind of it for today's video. Like I said, it's not the complete shading device, but the technique that I want to share today is to go over the process of how you can set up a rotation parameter using a sweep and a nested profile to do just that. And then once you have that sweep object made, you can set up as a keys apart, which is this here. This become a keys apart, and this keys apart can actually be made as something else, like a louver. So that has more than one blade, right? So this is how you can use keys apart to build up a more complex family. I can also talk about some technique of using array in the future. You can set up an array to any nested family so that when you stretch a family, these number of blade can increase by set of rules there with the set of rules and parameters. Okay, like I said, drop me a comment and give me a like if you like this video, and I'll share more tips and tricks and technique of Revit Family. So that's kind of the primary goal that I wanted to utilize my channel to share more of that right now. But I'll talk about anything in general as far as what I like about Revit, and the tips and tricks of Revit, and anything BIM related. Okay, thank you for watching for the video, and again, give me a likes, or if you haven't subscribed it, go ahead and subscribe my channel. I'll have more videos coming up in the future. All right, that's it for now. Thanks again. Appreciate it. See you next time. Bye.